You are now listening to Cryptid Cocktail Party. Creatures, let's meet for a drink. It's a treat. Join us in the fight. Cryptid Cocktail Party. Cryptid Cocktail Party.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Cryptid Cocktail Party, a show where we have a few drinks, share a few laughs, take a dive into the unknown. I'm your host, Dave. Once again, not always joined by my wonderful co-host, Sarge. Today, I have another special co-host, and that is Brennan Story. You may know him as the voice from the Ghost Story guys, or at least one of the voices. But it doesn't matter. Anyways, how's it going, man? What's going on? How's life?
Hey, man, I'm good. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be the discount Sarge for today.
Oh, don't say that.
I'm Timu Sarge.
All right.
I am totally fine with that. No, I'm good, man. I was drinking red wine on my couch and watching Beyond Skinwalker Ranch this morning, and now I'm here, so it's a good day.
All right. Well, it seems like your day is just going to be filled with just nonsense, and I love that for you. It's going to be great.
I'm a full-time podcaster, man. All my days are filled with nonsense.
There you go. But I'm glad you're doing good. I'm glad you're here. Thanks again for taking the time to do this for me. I know Sarge appreciates it, and hopefully if the episode goes good, our audience will appreciate it. Fingers crossed. I mean, I can't see it going too bad. We've already had technical issues and probably still are, but who knows? It's going to be fine.
Oh, 100%. I'm just waiting to look outside my window like Robert Pattinson and Remember Me to see a fucking plane barreling towards me.
Yeah, that seems like it'll be pretty par for the course.
For anyone who remembers the film Remember Me.
Yeah, that was one hell of a twist ending. I don't think I was expecting that.
I know, right?
Goddamn.
Sixth Sense my ass. 9/11. I think more films should end with a surprise 9/11ing. The bad news bears, the kids are celebrating.
Bro, I would go to the movies so often if I knew there was a chance that one of those movies would have another surprise 9/11.
I just went to go see F1 again the other day. Love that movie, but I'm telling you, surprise 9/11 at the end would sure perk things up.
Oh, fuck.
Brad Pitt, we won Formula. Oh, the humanity.
More like Formula 911, am I right? Ayo.
Formula 911. Oh, no. Oh, no. Well, we're off to a good start.
Great start. I'm loving this. All right. All right. So real quick before we get started, I just wanted to give a super quick shout out to Fega and Offbeat Philly. My wife and I were invited to check out the Philadelphia's Forgotten Dead walking tour last week, and it was pretty cool. It turns out that there are way more dead bodies under your feet than you would think inside of a city, and there's actually surprisingly a lot less in the actual cemeteries. And that's because, and I'm just gonna quote here real quick.
You left the bodies and you only moved the headstones! You only moved the headstones!
No, but it was super fascinating. The tour guide Fega was super cool. I can't remember all the stuff that we learned, but my favorite takeaway from it, and this has really nothing to do with the actual tour, I just thought it was a really fun fact, was I learned about the moon tree. Do you know what the moon trees are? Is that something you know of?
No, that's a new one on me.
All right, so the moon trees, apparently it was like a bunch of sycamore seeds were brought up into space by an astronaut who was also worked for the forestry department or something like that. And they were when they got brought back to Earth, they were just given to a bunch of cities all over the world. But Philly's was the first sapling to be planted, and in true Philly fashion, it just died. so they got another sapling from the original tree and then replanted it, and that also died. So now there's just a plaque commemorating nothing, and it's fucking amazing. That has nothing to do with the actual tour. I just thought it was a really fun fact, and for some reason my brain retained that information more than anything else about it.
I was going to say, isn't Philadelphia also the city that killed the hitchhiking robot?
Mm-hmm. That is true, yes. We don't do well with outsiders, apparently. Trees.
I was going to say, that's why they couldn't 9/11 Philly. They would not let that shit happen there.
But I got a theory because it was planted in Washington Square Park, which I learned was at one point like a pauper's pit and where they buried everyone during the yellow fever epidemic. So my theory is that it's probably cursed, but that's just me. But yeah, anyways, if anyone listening ends up in Philly or you already are, go check out Offbeat Philly and do the Forgotten Dead tour. It's super fun, and I'll be sure to put a link to their Instagram and stuff in the episode description. But yeah, I just wanted to give them a quick shout out because it was super fun, and they allowed me to come hang out for a while. So shout out them.
Now that I've made so many jokes at New York's expense, I should actually shout out Burrows of the Dead in New York. If you're ever down there, you want to do a ghost tour, do Burrows of the Dead.
Is that kind of like the same vibe almost?
Yeah. Andrea Janes runs it. She's a champion of forgotten history, hell of a researcher, great person too.
Yeah.
Great, just good stuff all around.
Yeah, so if you're in Philly or New York, check out both of these. All right, so you ready to dive into this week's topic?
I am.
Okay, so I'm sure you know this. There are a lot of strange creatures in American folklore. Some of them inspire fear, like horrible monsters lurking at the edge of town, predators that stalk the woods, or winged demons that swoop down upon you in the dead of night. Others, they inspire wonder. They're like majestic, otherworldly beings that blur the line between myth and mystical. But then there are some creatures that don't inspire awe or terror. They inspire a more empathetic feeling towards the creature. A creature that is less nightmare fuel and more the punchline to like a really dark cosmic joke. So,
JD Vance.
When you get a second, Google JD Vance mural Philadelphia. It's pretty great. But while you're doing that,
okay,
I want you to imagine a beast so pitiful, so overwhelmed by its own appearance that it spends every waking moment not roaring or hunting or lurking in the shadows, but just crying about how ugly it is. And if you ever happen to corner one of these creatures, it won't attack. It wouldn't even run. It would just cry harder until it literally dissolved into a puddle of tears right in front of you.
We're doing a show on Zach Baggins? Dude, that's awesome. I can't wait. I'm excited.
Close. Today we're going to be talking about Pennsylvania's own the Squonk. Are you familiar with the Squonk at all?
I am familiar with the legend of the Squonk.
Okay.
Not intimately. I'm not as up on this stuff as my esteemed co-host Paul and the Ghost Story guys, but I am familiar with it. Look at me. Look, if there's anyone who's going to be aware of a sad, misshapen creature who is appalled by the way it looks, it's going to be me. Professional podcaster. Professional podcaster. Keep that in mind.
So this one might hit a little closer to home than some of the other stories I could have chosen to tell today is what you're getting at?
Maybe a little. If you hear me crying, just push through.
Gosh. All right. Now, we did cover the Squonk very briefly all the way back in our Fearsome Creatures episode from 2023, but I feel like we didn't really do him justice, and now I kind of feel bad about it. So here we are. We're going to give him the full episode treatment. Spotlight is completely on him. So for those of you listening who may be wondering, what exactly is a Squonk? Well, the Squonk is usually described as a small, blubbery, pig-like animal with sagging, ill-fitting skin. Think like Vincent D'Onofrio in Men in Black when he's wearing the Edgar suit. It's kind of like that, loose-fitting and just riddled with warts and moles. It has just the saddest drooping eyes, a bulbous nose, and it is well aware of the fact that it looks like a depressed, hairless pug covered in poison ivy, making it incredibly shy. So you won't just see these things just kind of hanging out during the daytime. I assume it's because it doesn't want to subject any other living thing to its fucking grotesqueness. You got a question? You good?
Dave, not to interrupt. I was going to say, I think you might have mixed up your notes. You're looking at the paperwork for the Lindsey Graham episode.
Oh, fuck, you're right. God damn it. Hold on, let me just switch over real quick. God damn.
Yep.
All right,
I wanted. There's a part about the moles in his butt. I was like, this is all a little starting a little.
But like I said, the Squonk is a very shy creature, which makes it nocturnal. It avoids, but it also avoids moonlight at all costs, and not nocturnal because it's like a vampire. There's no vampire rules or anything. It's because it doesn't want to catch its own reflection in a pond or a puddle or anything. And if it's an especially bright night, it'll just sit under a hemlock tree and then gently sob until morning when it just goes back to its depression nap, I guess.
It's me leaving the club every night in my 20s.
But that's really all there is to know about the Squonk. It's ugly. It's so ugly that it spends every waking moment crying about it. Not in like an angry way, not in a scary way, but in the same way we all have at one point or another when we weren't feeling particularly happy with our own appearance at one point or another, making it super relatable. But which I think is why so many people like love this little guy. You can like empathize with it. Like we've all felt like a Squonk at one point or another, making him one of, if not the most relatable cryptid in American folklore. But just being ugly and sad isn't really that remarkable in terms of being like a fantastical beast. What really sets him like apart is its one and only defense mechanism. So loggers claim that you could track the creature through the forest by following the tear-soaked trail that it leaves in its wake. And if you actually catch up to it and attempt to like trap or capture it, it won't run or fight back. Instead, it just completely melts down and literally dissolves into a puddle of tears. Some hunters like J.P. Wentling, who supposedly lured one into a sack somehow. I don't really know how. I think he just kind of said he did. They say that after that happened, that when they return and look inside, they find nothing but salty water and a few bubbles left behind. And that's really all there is to know about the Squonk. The lore behind the Squonk is kind of like the story of Annabelle. It's not so much the initial story, like the lore. It's more the lore built around it, I guess. And we'll get into all that. But how are we feeling so far about the Squonk?
I'm feeling like I don't understand why people are trying to kidnap this thing, because I just can't imagine that a short, fat, homely little bugger who cries all the time is going to be much fun or much good eating. Like, I don't know if it's crying that much. You have to be a psychopath to want to eat it.
I mean, well, we're going to get into those reasons why. So you just hold your horses. We will.
Oh, they fuck it. I got you.
No, but I mean, I'm sure you
wink.
Hold on. So, but yeah, but like I said, so that's all there's to know. But the history and lore of how the Squonk came to be, that's really where the real story is, I feel like. And it's actually kind of pretty fun. So you want to learn about how we were blessed to live on the same timeline at the same time as the Squonk?
Wow me with the majesty of history, Dave.
All right, so the legend of the Squonk wasn't born the same way like other folkloric beasts tend to come about. There weren't any like supposed sightings in the woods or like mysterious footprints that someone found. The legend and lore surrounding the Squonk came straight out of like the lumber camps of the early 1900s. I'm sure I don't have to say this, but being a lumberjack is pretty shitty work. It's tough, it's dangerous, the days were long and grueling. So at night, to pass the time, back at camp around the fire having dinner, the loggers would spin these ridiculous yarns about bizarre creatures. And these quote-unquote fearsome critters, as they would come to be called, were just tall tales made up to either entertain, scare the greenhorns, or just kind of break up the monotony of camp life.
Boy, Chet, you know what I wish I had right now? I wish I had a little teddy bear that was sad that I could fuck.
It probably got very lonely. Yes, you are right. And thanks to William T. Cox, a forestry official and amateur folklorist, he was able to preserve these tales before they disappeared altogether in his 1910 book, Fearsome Creatures of the Lumberwoods, which is where the Squonk made its official print debut. Like, this book rules, and Cox did a fantastic job of not only like being able to preserve these stories, but having like a sense of humor about it. Like, he did it with like a mock seriousness, giving each of the critters an official like Latin sounding name. Like, he did the whole thing. Like, the Squonks is Lacrima corpus dissolvens, which literally translates to tear body dissolving. So right away, so like right away, the joke is built in, and this was never meant to be taken as like a real zoological thing or even a cryptozoology thing. He was just like having fun with it, and I respect the hell out of him for it. But anyways, according to Cox's book, the Squonk was limited like just to the regions of like PA's hemlock forests, and he even credited the story to a local hunter, the J.P. Wentling that I mentioned earlier, the one that supposedly like cornered it and captured it and just ended up with like a boiling soup of tears and snot. But the larger context of the Squonk and lumberjack folklore is the same as any other, like the hide behind or the hoop snake. It was created as like kind of like it was basically a hazing tradition invented to fuck with new loggers and make fun of the more gullible members of the crew. Like, they would tell the greenhorns about the Squonk and then try and like sending someone off to find a squonk in the woods was basically like a rite of passage for many of the uninitiated who joined the crews. It was like the lumberjack equivalent of like a snipe hunt, pretty much, if you're familiar with the snipe or anything like that.
Yeah, when I was a kid in shop class, they used to send you to find headlight fluid or the right-handed skyhook.
Yeah, you know? Blinker fluid, that kind of shit. Yeah, it's anyone who was the younger, uninitiated, more gullible, they would use stories like these to just basically fuck with them or just to entertain them. More than likely it was to fuck with them. And unlike some of the more menacing and dangerous fearsome critters, the squonk stood out because it wasn't menacing or dangerous at all. It was sad, hopeless, pathetic, more of a joke than a threat, which is sad because he's just a little guy and I love him. But it's also the reason why it stuck around more so than like the whirling Wimpus, which is just a big gorilla that spun like the Tasmanian devil and slapped you in the face till it fucking broke off. It's pretty much.
I think we should bring back the whirling Wimpus, and I think there's a couple addresses in Washington I'd like to send to.
The whirling Wimpus is actually pretty gnarly. It's not ideal. But it is pretty funny. But yeah, the story of the squonk resonated with people in the way that many of the other critters didn't. The tragic nature of a creature that's sad, ugly, lonely, it turned it into kind of like a folkloric metaphor for shame, insecurity, and even depression. And it was like that odd blend of humor and melancholy that allowed the squonk to stay relevant after all this time. And like I said, most of these fearsome critters have faded into obscurity or close to it, unless they're like really into lumberjack folklore. You're not really going to know about any of them, but you're going to be familiar with the squonk. Like the squonk has endured the test of times. Like, for example, writer Jorge Luis Borges, he included the squonk in his 1967 book, The Book of Imaginary Beings, putting it right alongside like unicorns and dragons. Chemists adopted the term chemical squonks to describe unstable compounds that fall apart when isolated. And even within the cryptid community, like the squonk is universally loved and adored and is a creature we all kind of collectively decided needs to be protected at all costs. Like I would die for the squonk. It's like I love this guy so much.
And also, I got to say, if you believe in the whole tulpa thing, that a bunch of people believing in something can create it, the rise in popularity of the squonk does correlate with the rise in popularity of podcasters.
That is true.
So it could be that we just thought a bunch of these sad neck-bearded motherfuckers into existence by mistake.
I feel like, the concept of a tulpa in this case, I would feel so bad if we accidentally willed something into existence that literally does not want to exist. Like, I feel like that's such like a shitty thing.
Joe Rogan?
That's fair.
He just looks at himself in the mirror every morning and goes, what am I? Why was I made to feel pain?
Oh, you know he cries almost consistently. Like once he's a
100%.
Oh, for sure.
I'm telling you, we tulpa Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan's a squonk. He got waxed, and he's like, I don't belong here. He's the ultimate imposter syndrome.
It's sad because I used to like Joe Rogan too. Like he used to fucking.
I like News Radio. News Radio was fun.
News Radio was great. It was a phenomenal show. But the squawk love doesn't stop there. For a creature that started pretty much as a prank in the PA logging camps, like this motherfucker has carved a surprisingly big spot for itself out in pop culture. Steely Dan slipped in a line about squonk tears in their 1974 song, Any Major Dude Will Tell You, using it as a metaphor for sorrow. And then just 2 years later, Genesis devoted an entire song to the squonk on their album called A Trick of the Tail, retelling the tale of this sappy-ass beast as an allegory for insecurity and isolation, with the band members stating in interviews that members of the band saw something of themselves in the squonk, a creature mocked for its ugliness but still deserving of sympathy. And then from there, the squonk's reputation spread beyond obscure folklore books and 70s rock songs. More recently, the squonk has been featured in everything from literature to gaming. It was featured in the Dungeon Crawler Carl book series. And he even got his own trading card in the cryptid theme game Cryptid Camp, but nowhere is the squonk's modern revival more visible than right here in its home state. In 2023, right in the heart of Johnstown, Lisa Russell and Joe Fogel launched Squonkapalooza, an annual summer festival that has quickly grown into a community staple, drawing in crowds from all over the country for live music, cryptid-themed art, and they even have a squonk compliment contest where festival goers try to cheer up the squonk. They actually just wrapped up this year's event earlier this month, And from what I gathered, it was amazing, and I wish I could have gone. I was actually a sponsor for the very first one. It was really cool. I went down there. It was a ton of fun.
Oh, cool.
I met a bunch of really cool people. But this is just, it just proves that the Squonk has gone from lumberjack lore to like a regional symbol of resilience, humor, and like a shared humanity. Today, the story resonates because it blends absurdity with relatability. He's become a mascot for awkwardness, insecurity, and survival through laughter. The Squonk has come a long way from where he started and has been reimagined as something more than just a campfire prank, and is now something more aligned with kind of like the punk and alternative scene. It's like an icon or a symbol for anyone who's ever felt like an outsider, or whatever you want to call it. But anyways, I love the guy, and but that's it. This is a little bit of a shorter episode, but that is the story of the Squonk. How are we feeling today?
I love it. I really do. I think the Squonk is a ton of fun. And the nice thing about the Squonk, as someone who tells ghost stories, basically as my job at this point, I like that everyone understands where the boundaries of reality are with the Squonk.
Yeah.
Because everything else, someone who hasn't taken their lorazepam or whatever starts to lose the boundaries of what is and isn't real. And they've got, Slender Man was following me into the bathroom, or there's a rake hiding underneath my car like Sideshow Bob.
Yeah.
And it becomes a bummer, because like creepypasta is a ton of fun. My other show, Fear Daily, that's creepypasta. That's basically what it is. Like, we write our own creepypasta. But it really gets to be a bummer when people write to you and they start telling you a story that it sounds like it was written by an AI that was sort of half paying attention, kind of jerking off with one hand while it wrote it. But no one does that with the Squonk. It's like, no, the Squonk's not real, and that's cool.
No, I feel like that's the best part. Like I said, William T. Cox did a really good job when he wrote Fearsome Creatures of the Lumberwoods, because it's written with, like, you can tell it's kind of like a satirical sincerity, if that makes sense. Like, he writes it like it's an actual like an actual textbook almost. Like, it's, you got fucking like stats, you got the Latin names for everything, and it goes into like the biology and all that stuff of the creatures, what they do, where they are, how they behave and move. But it's just a fun way to like keep those lumberjack traditions alive. And I really appreciate for 1910s, like, it is like almost like a 1910s version of a creepypasta. Like, there was some like greenhorn lumberjack reading that and being like, what the fuck am I gonna have to deal with? Are you kidding me right now?
Well, as someone who grew up in a lumber town, I grew up in a mill town up in the mountains in rural Canada. I got to say, as far as lumberjack traditions go, I think carrying the Squonk forward is way better than the other lumberjack stuff I remember, like hitting your kids.
That is true. It is definitely a less traumatic tradition to keep alive.
Driving drunk, hitting your kids, undercooking meat at barbecues. These might be some core memories I'm sharing here. But the Squonk, I think, is a way better approach.
Hell yeah, man. That's all I got. The Squonk isn't like, there isn't a lot to it. It's not like, because it's not real, and no one pretends it's real. Like, no one ever, like, there's no stories. There's no of people going in the woods be like, I saw a Squonk. Like, everyone knows that it's just kind of like an allegory for loneliness. And I respect that. Yeah, it's great. It's one of my favorites. I'm so relatable.
What's really interesting about the Squonk too, I think, is that it comes, like, coming from Pennsylvania. Like, you guys have such a rich paranormal history. Like, Pennsylvania is probably one of the most storied states in the Union in terms of weird shit happening. And so I think it's so fascinating that one of the most famous stories from that state is something that's not real at all. And everyone's like, no, it's really not real at all.
Yeah, it's
because usually people are just climbing over themselves to pimp out the Jersey Devil or whoever. But Pennsylvania it's got a big old salami swinging down between its knees, and it's like, I don't got to show off. I know what I am.
Yeah, that's it's kind of humbling in a way. I feel like for everyone else, it's you don't gotta make up. You can make up stories, but like, why does yours have to kill cats and murder people? Like, can't it just be sad and cute? Like, it doesn't have to be aggressive or angry. Just be a dude. It's all it needs.
Yeah, Squonk doesn't go to the gym. Squonk's just sitting there quietly on Tumblr, writing writing fan fiction and keeping to himself.
Yeah, he's probably thinking he's an otherkin. He probably writes otherkin fanfic about being a dragon or something cool, something not a Squonk.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Squonk saw Remember Me in theaters.
That's why he's so sad. All right, man. Well, that's it. That's all I got. Normally I would plug my stuff, but I'll give you the opportunity to plug whatever it is you want to plug, say whatever it is you need to say, and then we'll say goodbye.
All right. Yeah, no. It's been a ton of fun, man. If you like the various really upsetting jokes I've made on the show, in various, or at least whatever Dave leaves in, you can find me over at the Ghost Story Guys, where everywhere fine podcasts live. I'm Larger the Truth on Threads, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Letterboxd. And if you like horror fiction, you can find the show I co-write, Fear Daily, with Brandon Scheck-Snyder, everywhere fine podcasts live. And that's a daily horror fiction podcast, 2 stories a day, 5 days a week. And it's a lot of fun. It's a hell of a show. Brandon does a great job again. I write about half of it, but he does the rest and just knocks it out of the park. So if you like creepypasta, Fear Daily is the place.
Hell yeah, and I'll be sure to leave links in the episode description, all that stuff. And if you want to follow us on Instagram, it's at Cryptid Cocktail. Follow us on TikTok, Cryptid Cocktail Party. We got a Patreon. I don't remember the tiers. It's actually going to change up really soon because I'm bad at keeping up with it, and I feel bad making people pay more for things that they get sparingly, and that's pretty shitty of me, and I don't want to seem like a fucking podcast grifter at this point. So keep an eye out for me updating that. It'll be cheaper, more accessible, but as pretty much a one-person producer, it's hard to do all this and then do extra content and then make sure it gets put up at that. It's aggressive.
I feel you, man. I'm forever trying to keep up with my shit. I do a show a week, and then I also try to do one piece of bonus content a week. Try.
Yeah.
Keyword try. And you can ask my patrons how good I am at that.
All right. With all that out of the way, normally Sarge says goodbye and I love you to the audience, but do you want to say goodbye and I love you to the audience?
Goodbye, audience, and I love you.